Welcome to the Talk Sox podcast. I'm Alex, and as always, I'm here with Maddie. What's going on?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, just surviving. The first two games of the Phillies series have been a little tough to stomach.
Yeah, they've just been super frustrating. At least with the Cubs, I kind of went into that series being optimistic, but at the same time knowing they were a really strong opponent, better than any team they've faced so far this year. They're just a really
Absolutely.
complete team.
Yeah. A buddy of mine is a big Cubs fan, and we were trash talking back and forth before the series started. And after the Suzuki home run in the first inning of the first game, he was like, "So you want to take anything back?" And I was like, "No, we'll just we'll just let it go, I guess."
He's having quite a season.
Yeah. We talked about this in the Slack. Like, I was big on Suzuki when he was posted. I really wanted the Red Sox to be in that conversation. Over the off season, I really, really wanted the Red Sox to trade for him when it looked like the Cubs may make him available. And then people who know far more about that stuff than I do kind of threw cold water on that. But man, just imagining him, and there's already a logjam in the outfield, so I can't imagine another outfielder realistically, but just having him in that outfield would just be incredible with the season he's having.
And yeah, just imagining, I mean, the Cubs team for that matter, with yeah, they just have a great outfield. I guess it's what everybody thought the Red Sox would be this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's crazy, and I understand why they did it, but when the Red Sox selected Nick York in the draft, Pete Crow Armstrong was still on the board.
Huh.
And he went just a few picks later. And I understand that they went under slot there so they could go above slot to land Blaze Jordan. Like, I get all of that. But man, that's a very much a what if situation. Because PCA in Boston would do numbers, as the kids
Yeah.
say. Um,
Wasn't he
I
originally drafted by the Mets?
Yeah, so he was part of the Javi Baez deal
Okay.
that sent Javi to the Mets to when Lindor went down a few seasons ago.
Hmm.
I just recently on my MLB The Show franchise traded Jaron Duran straight up for Pete Crow Armstrong.
What a trade.
Yeah. It according to the numbers, it tanked my left field from second best in the majors to 30th best. But man, I've got speed on the base pads now.
Sometimes you just need speed.
Yeah. That Cubs series, I'm with you, Maddie. Going into it, I expected it to be a competitive series. Giolito settled in after that first inning, only gave up one other earned run after that first inning where he gave up 3. He didn't use the All-Star break as an excuse, but I think realistically we're kind of looking at an All-Star break hangover. And we touched on this on the last episode. Like, the All-Star break came at the absolute worst time for the Red Sox. I think that if they go into the Cubs series that Monday, instead of getting 5 days off, 4 days off, I think that maybe they're not going to sweep the Cubs. The Cubs are too good of a team for that. But I think the Red Sox take 2 of 3. And I think that if that series was played in Boston, that the Red Sox would probably take 2 of 3 in that series instead of dropping 2 and winning 1, because I think that the fan base just would have been absolutely rabid during that Friday game, and I don't think the Cubs would have been ready for that. And then the Crochet start, you can almost always pencil him in for a win. So I don't know. I didn't put too much stock into it, into the 2 losses. In fact, before we had to reschedule the recording from yesterday, I was going to say that the name of the episode should be something like "Don't Panic" or something in that realm. But these last 2 games, tonight especially, I mean, Sanchez is is the second best pitcher in baseball according to Lou Merloni, right behind Tarek Skubal. And I love Loomer, and Sanchez is a monster and should have been an all-star. and he pitched like an absolute monster tonight. But man, the Sox had Zach Wheeler on the ropes,
Mhm.
and up to 100 pitches by the middle of the fifth inning, sixth inning. They really looked like they had him figured out, and he didn't know what to do with the lineup. And then, you get 2 pass balls that allow runners to go into scoring position. That's the reason the game even goes into extras. And then you've got the catcher's interference call, which is the second time in baseball history that a game has been decided on a catcher's interference call. And I love Narvaez. I think that he is the catcher of the future here in Boston. But he is having a rough stretch of it. He was getting cold at the plate, which we all kind of expected, since he's never played this many innings ever in his career. If you haven't listened to his interview on the Section 10 podcast, I highly recommend you go check that out. It's very, very good. And he talks about that. And he's like, I'm here to play baseball, and it's not like I haven't played baseball my whole life. Like, I understand what being a baseball player is. But there's just something about putting that catcher's gear on, 6 days a week, 4, 5, 6 days a week, and just going out there all but 1 or 2 games. And realistically, when you have a backup catcher like Connor Wong, you are going to press a little more as the starter, because you know that if you're in there, your team at least has a chance to put runners score runners when they're in scoring position. Whereas Connor Wong has come up, he's 0 for 33 with runners in scoring position this year. His 1 RBI came on a fielder's choice.
Put an asterisk next to that.
Yeah. Or no, it was a sac fly. He knocked one in earlier, like a game earlier on a fielder's choice, on the appearance earlier on a fielder's choice that did not go down as an RBI, but it was a sac fly. It was a shallow sac fly too, if I remember correctly. But I think that we're finally starting to see maybe some fatigue catch up with Carlos Narvaez, and we'll get a little more into that. You're going to the game tomorrow, is that right?
Yeah, I am. Just living in Pennsylvania and now losing to a series against the Phillies for the first time since I think 2011 is
Yeah, I
super
wrote about that.
frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, the team got to Zach Wheeler. He wasn't on his A game yesterday, but they still managed to lose the game in a really pathetic way. And
Yeah.
Wheeler's probably gonna be the NL Cy Young this year.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think who else would be. And yeah, just
I don't know. They might
see,
give it to this Mizorowski kid since he's gone to the All-Star game after 5 appearances.
oh no. Well, that's a good point. And I saw a lot of puff pieces about him today online.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sanchez is a great pitcher. I yeah, I haven't been able to listen to the Red Sox broadcast for this series because I'm blacked out. So I've
Yeah.
been stuck with is it Tom McCarthy and John Kruk? And
Yeah, that sounds right.
yeah, just that's not fun. But
No.
yeah, I do agree with Lou. Well, no, actually, no, not the second best pitcher in the entire league, but he's up there.
Oh, absolutely.
Sanchez,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was talking about his changeup specifically when he I think he may have misspoke. You kind of know how Lou gets when he gets talking about baseball. That Sanchez is second in the MLB in terms of strikeouts on the changeup behind Skubal, and that's when he kind of waxed poetic about how Sanchez might be the second best pitcher in the game. And I think that's a stretch. I think he's a very good pitcher, and I think you could make a case for probably top 10, maybe even top 5. But we've got who I would consider to be the second best, and it's a bit of a homerism, pitcher on our team. I think that Garrett Crochet, he leads the AL in most categories. Skubal's going to get him on ERA, and Skubal will probably end up winning the Cy Young. But I think that Crochet will bring home at least 1, maybe 2 during his tenure here in Boston. I really think that Garrett Crochet is flourishing. He's thinking about his workload. He is preparing himself to be a pitcher that can throw with longevity. I know when that deal was signed, some of the talk was, oh, well, it's 7 years, but you're actually only going to get 6 if you're lucky because he will need Tommy John surgery, which is entirely possible with the velocity that he throws at. But he's already undergone one procedure, so you would hope that he doesn't have to undergo a second one. But man, I think if we get 6 years of Garrett Crochet pitching at this elite level, we're in a pretty good spot. I wish that he could have maybe started game 1 of the Phillies series.
That would have been nice.
I think it would have gone slightly different. Although Walker Buehler has strung together 2 decent starts.
He had a quality start yesterday.
Yes.
And they wasted it.
Yeah, that if I was him, I'd be furious. And he's like, that's the second one I'm going to throw all year. But you do have to wonder if his name is still going to be brought up in trade discussions as we approach the deadline. As of this recording, we're 9 days out from it. So I think that probably our next episode, we'll touch on the Dodgers series because it's Mookie coming back and all that good stuff. But you talk about a player that's having a terrible year. Mookie is just, I do too. The flip side is that Xander has gone nuts in San Diego. Man, if that contract was a little more stomachable, that's part of a Jarren Duran trade to the Padres if I've ever seen one. Not at the contract, but if it was a little cheaper, if you could get Xander back, yeah. You talk about settling an offense and settling the infield, Xander Bogaerts.
You just wrote an apology to Trevor Story.
I did. And it was 100% sincere. There was no sarcasm laced in those lines that I wrote. But, Story, he got that dinky-doo little infield single today. I'm glad Bryce Harper's a little short to be playing first. Trey Turner airmailed that ball. Bryce is lucky that he caught it. But Trevor's been great the past 6 weeks, 2 months. But 10 times out of 10, I would take Xander Bogaerts at short on Trevor Story's contract than Trevor Story.
100%. Yeah.
We've talked about before. Bogey is one of my all-time favorite players. We're headed up to St. Louis tomorrow to go see him. Specifically, go see him. If Pivetta starts, whatever. But I was never a big Nick Pivetta guy. But I love Xander Bogaerts. And I do wish that he never wore a jersey besides a Red Sox jersey for his entire career. But man, it's so good to see him playing good baseball again, because it looked like he had lost his love of the game for the past season and a half, really.
Yeah, he's had a couple of down years, and to finally see him, getting his stuff back together is happy for me. And I'm kind of glad that a lot of former Red Sox players who were, who I rooted for growing up are all on the West Coast, like 3 hours behind me, so I really don't pay attention to their games. So whenever they're successful, it's good to see.
That's kind of how I am too. It's 2 hours for me, but it really, I still keep tabs on Mookie. I still keep tabs on Xander. If any of the outfielders are traded, I will still keep tabs on them. I don't stay up. I'm not staying up to watch Padres home games. Although occasionally when I am up that late, I will turn it on just to hear the sweet, soothing sounds of Don Orsillo. But him calling the Bogaerts home run from either Sunday or Monday is just it's fantastic. And that's what we could have had in Boston on both accounts had ownership not played stupid games and won stupid prizes. But that's a drastically different conversation. We've really got to talk about Carlos Narvaez. We've touched on it a little bit. He's come back down to earth, which we all expected. We didn't expect him to hit around 300 for the entirety of his rookie season. He is still technically the best defensive catcher in all of baseball. He has thrown out more would be base stealers than anyone else. I thought he had the pickoff at second tonight that they ended up not challenging. It looked pretty close to me. I also thought he had Bryce Harper tagged out on his second offensive interference, catcher's interference.
No.
Um, it looked to me like he got Harper on the shin before his foot touched the plate. I understand the rule is he stepped in front of the plate, and it was simultaneously called catcher's interference and a balk. It's both.
That was weird.
Which I think is the only thing that they went to the headset about. I don't think that, because that's a non-reviewable play, as we saw in the Garrett Crochet start, where he quite obviously blocked Pete Crow Armstrong when he was caught in that rundown at third.
That was funny.
But I also think that if you're thrown out by like 20 feet, it doesn't matter if the base is being blocked or not. But like I said, technically it's the correct call because Narvaez stepped in front of the plate, so the batter couldn't swing at the ball. But the batter was also about 6 feet out of the batter's box when Carlos Narvaez stepped in front of the plate. So I don't know what you're supposed to do there.
Yeah, Marsh was well out of the batter's box. I just there have been so many weird calls this series, and
yeah,
I'm just praying they win tomorrow, and there's nothing weird going on at the game with any calls.
Yeah, this is one of the weirdest. Yeah, one of like the weirdest umped games. And the Chicago series was a very strange ump situation too. Really weird zones behind the plate. All 3 games, you had the Crochet, blocking the base that didn't get called. You had a couple tags that looked like they were clearly placed before the runner hit bags, and they were called safe, and there was no challenge. Like it just really we've had 2 series, like back-to-back series, where the umpiring has been suspect. And it's a very Homer thing to do to complain about umps, but it even scrolling through social media, you've got even non-Red Sox fans that are seeing some of these calls and they're like, this doesn't make sense to me. We'll go to Narvaez and at the conclusion of game 1, the catcher's interference that, forced in a run. That run was going to score either way. The game was over. When it goes to extras as the visiting team, you have to score at least one. There's no 2 ways around that. But to get catcher's interference called on a check swing when the batter is pulling the bat back on the check, I think is stupid.
Yeah.
Once again, I understand that it is technically the rule, but I feel like you have to, and that's not the way rules are written, but I feel like you have to have some feel for the game. And if it's a check swing, it's not interfered with. He didn't check because he hit the glove. He hit the glove on the back pull.
Yeah.
So last night was a rough night for Carlos Narvaez. 2 pass balls that allowed runners to go from first to second. Both slow, if I remember correctly. I know Nick Castellanos was one. I don't remember who the other one was.
I wonder if that was Otto Kemp.
That sounds right. Yeah, I think so. What a name to hear in 2025, Otto. Outside of Otto Octavius.
Oh no.
And I think his walk-up song is "Take Me Out" by Franz Ferdinand.
Huh.
If I heard correctly on the broadcast tonight. Bryce Harper's is "Ride With Me" by Nelly. That's interesting.
Well, at this point, I'm sick of hearing Bryson Stott's stupid little walk-up song. The people at the stadium crank up the volume whenever he's at bat, and he almost always hits into some type of out. And
yeah, what's his walk-up? I don't guess I've paid attention.
I don't want to sing. A-OK by who was it? Ty Verdes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a bad one.
Yeah, it's Yeah, just any song that like stemmed from blowing up on TikTok
Yeah.
needs to go away.
Yeah. I mean, there's some definite, like, really good ones that the crowd sings along with. Like Lindor does My Girl.
Oh,
And like the
that's a
crowd
classic
sings that. I,
song.
I absolutely love that. Um, or like when Diaz comes in from the pen and they do the with the Timmy trumpets when they sing along to it. Like that's cool. But yeah, that AOK song is bad.
I I was thinking about this during the Cubs series, and then I had the same thoughts during the Phillies series this week. Both teams are is it well, I don't want to have a foot in the mouth at the moment, but they're both really white. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought the Phillies were bad until they played the Cubs. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. You've got Seiya Suzuki and Shota, and that's
Hey,
about it.
we Asians are white adjacent. Always remember that.
But man, I hadn't thought about that. But yeah. Huh.
Well, we can talk about Narvaez more now. Uh,
So the conversation for a while has been that they need to trade for a backup catcher, at least in my opinion. Um, I know that like listening to, I think it was on the episode of Section 10 that dropped Monday. Um, Steve Peralt said that he's been kind of asking around in like Red Sox circles if they're talking about backup catchers, and he's being told no.
hmm.
Um, so I don't know if they think that I don't even know who's catching at AAA right now. Um, I don't know if they think that that's an option or if they are just playing their cards so close to their chest that which is Alex Spear was on the broadcast tonight, and the OB asked him, OB asked him, what first baseman is leading the list for the Red Sox, and he was like, well, like anybody looking for a first baseman is going to be looking at Josh Naylor. He's like, but the Red Sox are playing this like very, very guarded. They're not. There's very few people in the organization who know what. And he didn't say this. Is kind of what I'm taking from it. But it seems like there's very few people in the organization outside of probably Craig, Theo, and Cora and ownership that know exactly what the Red Sox are going to do. Because I don't know if you've noticed it, there's been reports that 12 teams are in on Duran, and then the Red Sox are very likely not trading Duran. And the Padres have had a scout at every home game for the last 10 home games. And then, no, they're not going to trade him. And then, oh, well, their preferred outfield lineup is Anthony in left and Sadan in center and Willier in right. And they don't want Duran to be a DH. And then it comes out today. It's highly unlikely that the Red Sox trade any of their outfielders. Like, we're getting very mixed messages. And one, I think that if they go through the season with these four outfielders on the roster, five when you count Rob Refsnyder, um, I think that that's the most short-sighted decision they can make. And I understand upsetting team chemistry and all of that stuff, but I think that you have to pick either Jaron Duran or Willier Abreu, something that they weren't willing to do over the offseason, and trade one of them. I know who I would trade, but I think that you have to trade one of them. Because if your preferred lineup has Roman in left, then there's no spot on this team for Jaron Duran. If you think Jaron can play right, then put Roman in left and trade Willier. If you think Roman can learn right field at Fenway, then trade Willier. Like, there's so many things that it just feels like you've got to move one of these outfielders, or it's just a log jam that's just going to be an issue. And Merlone, like Loomer was kind of talking about it tonight. He was like, we're seeing a side of Roman Anthony we haven't seen before. He's 1 for 8 with 7 strikeouts um, in this Philly series.
In Roman's defense, Sanchez and Wheeler are probably the best pitchers he's faced so far this
Absolutely.
year. So, I mean, I'll give him a little leeway there, but,
Oh, absolutely. And I
yeah.
wasn't saying that to try to like talk down on Roman, but you have to think that like Durant, who was on the bench tonight, is sitting there being like, he's 1 for 8. Why am I not out there tonight? Like, and you're going to get that's going to continue to happen, I think. Or even Willier. Willier seems like a very team oriented guy as well, but Roman was playing right and struck out 4 times tonight. Willier have come out and you know hit a little bloop single? Could he have gotten on base? Could he have drawn a walk? Because really, outside of Ref Snyder, nobody saw more than like 4 pitches from Sanchez tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a masterclass in how to
Was it a
use a
Maddox?
sinker and a changeup.
Or no, was the game a Maddox from him?
No, he went over 100, I think.
Okay. But
Yeah,
still, yeah, really, really
yeah,
good.
yeah. And the final out was a punchy. Like it was everything you want from a complete game, minus the Ref Snyder home run.
Yeah. You talk about the outfield log jam, and I think an issue with that currently is that you have Willier and Duran, who could be everyday starters in the field. Um, Both of them have a lot of difficulty facing left-handed pitchers.
Yep.
So then, I mean, you can play ref. He'll do fine. He's a lefty killer.
Yeah.
Roman is still, only his just a little over his first month in the league.
Right.
He's gonna have some, ups and downs.
I love that
Um,
Cora is letting him work through this with lefties. That's not the path Cora has taken at all since coming to Boston. I love that Roman was out there the entire game tonight. I thought that was great, even with 4 strikeouts.
and well, Sadon, he's been
You got to play him every day.
well, yeah, uh, even if it's at second base.
I have such a problem, and that's my other issue. And I talked about this in our Slack channel today when Nick posted that they weren't expected to trade any of their 4 unless they were just blown away by a deal. Sadon Rafaela needs to be in center field every single game. I don't want to see him at second. When he played second in the series with the Cubs, it looked not great. He looked uncomfortable. He will probably be at second tomorrow because Bregman should get the day off. So Marcelo will play third, and Sadon will shift into second. Jaron will shift to center, and we will either see Roman play left or Masataka Yoshida play left. And if Sunday is any indication, Jaron Duran's going to try to kill Masataka Yoshida again.
That was scary. Like just Duran like running into left field to try to get that ball. Yoshida was also calling it too, and
Yeah,
poor dude. He's so tiny.
yeah, and I mean he didn't move. He took that
He stood his
hit from
ground.
Duran. Yeah, it was like 2 immovable objects meet.
Oh,
Uh,
no.
the team is so lucky that like neither of them broke a rib or something in that. To me, they're both at fault. That's the left fielder's ball. I mean, it's a can of corn. He was camped under it, but baseball says, and they teach you this in Little League, if the center fielder calls you off, it's the center fielder's ball. And so Yoshida, technically, by the unspoken rules, should have given the ball to Duran, should have given leeway to Duran, but Moss had been camped under it for like 6 years when Duran ran into him. So to me, I give a little more fault to Jaron than I do Massa, but at the end of the day, they both take a little bit of the blame. But that was insane. I couldn't believe that happened. I figure we'll get Roman in left in the series finale, Willier and right, Jaron in center, which his center field has looked about as good as his left field has looked, and that's not great. I know I've said this time and time again. I don't understand why he's not being traded at the deadline. And I like Jaron. I think he's a good ball player, but man, he makes the most sense to trade. I don't get why they're seemingly intent on hanging on to 5 outfielders, um, especially when AJ Preller is willing to give up so much for a player that he wants. And I'm going to use this comparison, but it's not close. But if you look at the Juan Soto deal that sent Juan Soto to San Diego, the Nats got back James Wood and Mackenzie Gore. Now, Jarren Duran is not
and
Juan
CJ
Soto.
Abrams.
And CJ Abrams. Oh, I forgot he was part of that deal. Yeah. So they have a pitcher who likely will win a Cy Young in his career in Mackenzie Gore. An absolute unit of a left fielder in James Wood that is going to hit tanks for his entire career. CJ Abrams, he's got some issues off the field, it seems like.
Well, mm, uh, uh, yeah,
I mean, he
well,
got sent down as a punishment last year.
that was funny because the Navy Yard has gotten pretty gentrified over the past 15 years since I
Mm-hmm.
remember. There used to be like nothing around it
Okay.
for a while, and then I went to the 2019, I think, NLCS, and then I was like, oh my gosh, there's a Chipotle outside the stadium in one of those gentrified, gray-looking like modern buildings and
Yeah.
casinos too. And I was thinking, it's really changed around here. And then seeing
Interesting.
that photo of Abrams at a casino, right? I was like, okay, I
Yeah.
see what you're
At
doing,
like
buddy.
6 in the morning
It's like,
of a day
how are
game.
you up? Yeah, how are you up that late? Like, you need sleep.
Like if we didn't have Story and Marcelo and Franklin Arias and all of these names in the system that could play short, I would love to be in on a CJ Abrams deal. I
Huh.
think that he's a great shortstop. I think he does not want to play for the Nats.
I, I don't blame him. But, I mean,
No, but
rent
at the
is
same time, you got
crazy
to
in
show up and
DC.
play ball.
But I think they have a really good core to build around, and I think they'll be a wild card contender at least by next year.
Probably. Unless, I mean, apparent. So is their GM an interim GM or has he fully taken over the role? Do you know?
Wait, did they fire their GM or was that just their manager?
They brought the GM and the manager at the same time.
Okay. Huh.
Okay,
I think
so Mike
okay.
DiBartolo has been named interim GM for now. But he made a comment earlier last week that said that was effectively they will listen on anybody, which is
Hmm.
crazy. If the Red Sox aren't calling them to see what it would take to get Mackenzie Gore out of Washington, Craig Breslow's an idiot. If they're going to let an interim GM try to navigate this trade deadline, take advantage of it. Like, there are very few players I would not trade for Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah. I who Peyton Tool.
I send him.
You know, yeah,
I
Gore's a
like
dog.
Tolley. Yeah, I like Tolley. I think that he will be a good pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, provided that he stays in the system. With the way that Craig just drafted a bunch of giant-bodied SEC 100-mile-an-hour throwers, I think that either the plan is to trade most of them at this trade deadline that have already signed, or we were getting reports like a week or two ago that teams are being told that Tolley was untouchable. I think the draft has changed that. I think that if they are bold, I don't think that they're just going to give him away by any means, but I think that they're bowled over for an offer for him. If the Nats call and are like, hey, we want Tolley and Gore's on the table, depending on what you include with him, do it. Like, as long as what you include with him isn't Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, Garrett Crochet, or Ceddanne Rafaela. Those are really the 4 names I wouldn't trade at this point.
The Nationals actually could be a good trade partner now that I think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the Red Sox have a ton of shortstops. Abrams is the team's future shortstop for, however long he's under their control. Their outfield is also, they have Wood, obviously. Is it Dylan Cruz, the LSU kid? He's kind of had an off year. I think he might be in AAA right now. And but even then, he hopefully will turn things around and come back to the major league roster. So like the Red Sox there. Pitching, I don't know. There's Gore, but yeah, I could see a trade there.
I think the Nats could line up really, really well. A team, and I've written about a couple players from the Kansas City Royals that I think the Royals match up beautifully with the Red Sox. The Royals have one of the worst outfields in all of baseball, and I would love Seth Lugo. I think Lugo's a rental, so I don't know if that's topping the list for Craig Breslow, who has said that he would prefer controllable pitchers. But Lucas Erceg, I think, would be a phenomenal addition to the bullpen.
Well, I think Erceg could be converted to a starter somewhere down the road.
I don't disagree with you. Yes.
So that would be a fun experiment for their pitching lab.
Well, apparently, and we'll get back to the Royals in a second, branching off of that, the A's have made Mason Miller available for the right price. And Mason Miller is my white whale of a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. I would love for them to bring him in, let him continue to close this season. He has a 4-something ERA. He's not been great. Ship Chapman out, let Miller close, because I think that getting Miller out of a AAA ballpark will do wonders for his ERA. Chapman is your biggest commodity at the trade deadline if you're willing to make him available. Remember that the Rangers sent Cole Reagans to the Royals for Chapman when he was not performing this well. So you're talking about a potential like number one ace level pitcher coming back for Aroldis Chapman. If you were to bring Mason Miller on, let him close this year, and then there is apparently quite a bit of talk around the league that most teams think that Miller can be converted back into a starter. And that is the feather to put in your cap if you are Andrew Bailey, to take a once failed starter, bring him to Boston, show that he is still a dominant reliever, and turn him into an elite starter again.
I've thought about Miller being another, reliever turned starter candidate. However,
I'd buy a jersey today.
He's had a lot of elbow issues throughout his career, and
he has.
That would be my primary concern with that conversion.
I think it can be done, though. I mean, he's obviously not going to throw 104 as a starter, at least regularly. But I think that the bones are still there to convert him back into a number 2, number 3, 4 at the worst starter, and you could do much worse than that. But a name that has popped up from the Royals, going back to them, that is very interesting is Chris Bubich. He has a year and a half of control left. He's 27. Maybe he's not. I think he might be older than that. Yeah, he's 27. I was thinking of. I've written like 4 articles on pitchers today, so I was getting ages confused. He's 27. He has a year and a half of control left. He's a ground ball specialist. He's a lefty. The Cubs are rolling out a lefty number 1, number 2 with great success this year. Lining him up behind Garrett Crochet as a number 2 is tantalizing to me. And I mean, like I said, Lugo is a get, but Lugo is only here for the remainder of the season. if you bring him in, it like you have a power pitcher as your number one. You have a location specialist that induces ground balls as your number two. Then you've got Bayo, who's also a ground ball specialist, as your number three. Giolito, who's a kind of a mix of both, as your number four. Five is Fitz, Hauk, whoever kind of slots into that role. That makes Walker Buehler expendable at this point. Or if you keep Buehler, Buehler becomes your five. Fitz moves to the bullpen in a long relief role. Ideally, you would love for that five spot to be Hunter Dobbins, but that's obviously not going to happen this year with the ACL tear. So I think that that's a very interesting the way that the Red Sox and Royals match up on a trade. A litany of outfielders, a litany of starting pitchers that need to be moved. Like there's too much there to really make something work. Kind of my go-to pick though for starters is Edward Cabrera out of Miami. The Sox had sniffed around him for the last couple of years when he couldn't really figure things out, and this year he's kind of put it all together. It's like a 3.3 ERA, somewhere right in there. I haven't checked. He had his first start of the second half today. Let me check out what's going on with him. I would take him over Sandy Alcantara in a heartbeat. He went 6 with 5 hits, 6 strikeouts, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 5 and 2/3 innings, no walks. Yeah, I would love Edward Cabrera in Boston. And I think that that's where the Jarren Duran to the Phillies conversation gets really interesting. Because if Preller is willing to make this a 3-team deal, you get Duran to San Diego, Cabrera to Boston, and then you get like not DeVries, probably not Ethan Salas, but you get some prospects to Miami from both San Diego and Boston, which is what kind of Miami is just kind of hoarding at this point as prospects. It's a win-win-win as far as I'm concerned. The Padres get the player they want. The Red Sox get a number 2 starter. The Marlins get high top 10, top 15 level prospects from both organizations that are close to the majors. It's kind of a win all around, and that's really the only way I see Jarren Duran going to the Padres, unless the Padres are willing to get stupid and include like a Michael King or even a Fernando Tatis. And I understand that Tatis plays right field. If the Padres are willing to trade you Tatis, buy Willier. Same thing if the Braves are going to give you Ronald Acuna, buy Willier. You make it work.
I always see the memes of Tatis being traded to the Red Sox, and I mean,
I would love it.
Yeah, I would too. He can also play shortstop.
Yeah,
that
dude
matter.
that dude is so cool.
Yeah, he play. I love his play. Like he plays with flair, but he backs it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're sitting right on the wall in left field for the game that we're going to on Thursday. But part of me really, really wishes that we had bought the seats in right field instead.
Yeah.
So I could be over there with Tatis. But like I said, I'm going for Xander, but I'm incredibly excited to finally see Tatis play in person. Unless, of course, he's traded for Jarren Duran. And then I'll be happy to see Jarren on Thursday. And then I'll find a way to make some Red Sox series before the end of the season, so I can see Tatis suit up for the Sox. I don't see it happening, but AJ Preller's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And so I'm not ruling it out by any means.
His name has been floated around and tied to the team for a bit. I mean, I know a lot of them are jokes, but even then, yeah, if there's a weird situation going on,
Preller's involved.
with Preller involved, they need to take advantage of it.
Yeah. That is like if I could pick one guy to just put on the roster, it would be Fernando Tatis Jr. He is, and I mean, yeah, like Aaron Judge and his power at Fenway, like I understand all that, like, but you talk about like the dude to like market your team around, and he can go give interviews, and he can be the face of the franchise because he's just so cool.
Yeah.
Tatis is that guy. He really is. Like I would love to have him on the Red Sox. And while it will probably never happen, or if it does, it'll be when he's like winding down his career and he's a DH only that sometimes plays left field. Um, if Craig could work that trade, sign him to a 10-year extension. Sign Breslow to a 10-year extension.
Oh, oh.
Let him go out there and pitch again for all I care. Are there any relievers that you think the Red Sox need to be prioritizing? Because the bullpen needs help.
Yeah, the Phillies series has shown that. So did game 2 of the Cubs series.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I mean, Mason Miller, even then, I do have a lot of concerns over his
absolutely. Yeah.
health. Um, well, if we're talking about the Padres, Suarez he might
Suarez would
be
be.
on. I think he's on an expiring deal.
He is.
So
Um,
extend him then. Uh,
I'm pretty sure. I just wrote about him.
player opt out. Okay.
So he can opt out at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And they've got what's that other guy's name that's right behind him on the depth chart? It's like his last name's like Smith or something. Like he's very white. Um, but he's like their closer of the future. Jason Adam from Omaha, Nebraska. And I mean, he's 33, so he's older, but he is, I think that he's kind of positioned to be the Suarez replacement in the next season, probably. I don't know. There's names out there like the Cardinals are supposedly still undecided if they're going to deal Helsley. I would love to see Helsley brought in. I know that he had his issues at Fenway during that Cardinal series. He only came out once, and that was to close out that day game where he blew a save by like 12 runs. But same thing. I think they even bring in Helsley that allows you to entertain trading Chapman. Once again, Helsley is not as good as Chapman this year, but he provides a solid closer option. I think kind of the big name that I would love to see that's not going to happen is Cade Smith from the Guardians. But the Guardians are notoriously difficult to trade with. I mean, he's the best closer, or he's the best reliever in baseball. 61 strikeouts over 41 innings. He would be the perfect setup man. It would allow them to give Weissert another break. The Cardinals also have Steven Matz, which is he's had like a career resurgence as a bullpen arm this year, but he's a lefty, and that would make 4 lefties in the bullpen.
Yeah,
And I don't like
it's too
that.
many.
I think 3's too many.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about last year's trade deadline. There were, more enticing, relievers on the block. Henry
Yeah.
Scott from the Marlins went to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Um, uh, who Who was that dude on? Was it the was he from the Ranger Kirby Yates? No, he wasn't
Oh
traded
yeah.
then.
No, he
Who
wasn't
was he
traded, but
traded?
he signed with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I remember that in the off season. That wasn't fun. Um, yeah, just this year I can't really think of any targets that I'd want the team to go for, but I mean, maybe Craig Breslow has a secret, pitcher he wants, and he's working
I
really
like
hard
Griffin
behind the
Jacks a
scenes.
lot.
Oh yeah, he's another reliever who could be a starter sometime in the future.
Yeah, that's not the Twins name that like everybody wants it to be. But I think that Griffin Jacks would be a very good addition uh, to the bullpen. But yeah, I'm kind of like you, like it, and until we get confirmation about who is available, it's hard to say like, oh, I like this reliever, I like this reliever. I mean, like it's great to like Mason Miller and Ryan Helsley and all these big names, but if Oakland's not going to the Athletics, because they're not Oakland anymore, if they're not going to legitimately entertain offers, or the asking price from the Red Sox is Roman Anthony and Peyton Tolley, like that's not even going to be considered. Um, if the Cardinals want Duran and Marcelo Meyer for Helsley, like that's not going to happen. Not that they need Marcelo Meyer, but just pulling names. Mason Wynn is that dude at shortstop. That guy is so much fun to watch. Um, he is a much younger and not quite as polished version of Ozzie Smith. Um, and I have like Cardinal fans that are like friends of mine that are telling me that. They're like, man, like watching him is like watching Ozzie. Like it's just he's going to make every play, and he's not. I mean, he's not on that level by any means, but he's a sure-handed defender, and that's something the Cardinals have lacked in recent years. I think the Cardinals do match up pretty well in terms of a trade partner for the Red Sox. Their outfield, Lars Nootbaar is a free agent after next year. Victor Scott III has had a ginormous year this year, but it seemingly came out of nowhere. So who knows if it will continue. I can't remember if they have Donovan still playing left field. I don't think so. I think he's at second now. So they've got some holes that they can plug and play a Duran or a Wilyer Abreu in, or Rob Refsnyder. If they want Rob Refsnyder, I'd trade him for the right package. Although I would like to keep him as an off the bench option against left-handers. But I think kind of the one area that we haven't really addressed is first base. Abraham
Yeah.
Toro has come down to earth. Romy Gonzalez is sitting on a solid 0 for 16 stretch as of the conclusion of today's game.
Yeah.
What
First
seemed to
base.
not be a problem a week ago is now a problem.
Well, when you have your foot pressed down on the gas pedal, I mean the tank's gonna run out quickly.
Yeah.
And Toro and Romy were overperforming, and yeah, like you said, now they've come back down to earth.
Toro
The
can't draw
Brewer.
walks to save his life.
Oh no, and he makes too many base running errors every so
Oh my
often,
gosh. Yes.
and he's a veteran player. Uh,
But he did come from Oakland last year, so they don't play real baseball out there unless your name's Brent Rooker or Nick Kurtz.
talk about first base candidates. Hold up, Kurtz is from my hometown. Um,
Really?
I actually I some I didn't know that his father was a client of mine, but my boss said something to me like, "Hey, did you hear Mr. Kurtz's kid is playing in the majors now?" And I was like, "Hold up. Wait, Nick Kurtz is
Kurtz?
his kid?" That's a really common name in uh where I live. So,
Really? Okay.
yeah, it's Pennsylvania Dutch.
Okay. Okay.
My last name is too, but yeah, just I would go crazy for Nick Kurtz to be on the Red Sox.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I think that Tyler Soderstrom is a much more likely option
He's
that
a
I don't hate.
yeah. He also plays the outfield, right?
Yeah, he's been playing left for him because ever since Kurtz got called up, Soderstrom was on a tear to start the year, playing first for the Athletics. And then when Kurtz got called up, he shifted to the outfield and DH. And then when Kurtz got hurt like a week into his major league career, and he is still the overall odds-on favorite to win AL Rookie of the Year.
What about Jacob Wilson?
I think it's interesting that both of them play for the A's. But I think that Kurtz has the betting odds right now. Last I checked. Or Jay Willie may still have it, but if Kurtz continues to play the way he does, he's going to win it. It seems like every time he steps into the box, it's a home run. Like if you look up Nick Kurtz highlights on Twitter, you're like, man, this guy's posting the same highlight 4 or 5 times. No, he's not. No, he's not. Those are all fresh home runs every time he posts them. I'm actually going to watch the A's play in September at Busch Stadium. I bought a custom Dallas Braden jersey to wear because I love me some wild man. You talk about a pitcher that I always wanted the Red Sox to be in on. It was Dallas Braden after he threw that no-hitter. It is a sneaky baseball mind. The way that he can talk about the game. And I mean, he was a major leaguer, so it makes sense. But just listening to him, I don't want to say wax poetic, but like listening to him get into the weeds on why pitchers are doing what they're doing and why hitters are responding the way they're responding. Like, it is just fascinating to listen to him get going about baseball. And it really gives you a deeper understanding and a deeper appreciation for what it takes to be a Major League Baseball player, or what it should take to be a Major League Baseball player. Some of these guys have the baseball IQ of this empty can right here. And then some of them understand the game to a level that would make them Hall of Fame managers if they ever decided to take that route. I think that could be Rob Refsnyder. I think Rob Refsnyder has MLB caliber manager written all over him when he decides to retire. And I think that he could. I think he could be one of the greatest managers in the game, just with the level of baseball IQ that he has. Alex Bregman, I think, is probably right up there too. I think that if he ever decides to manage in the majors, that we're talking about a manager who like revolutionizes the position, like they talked about Cora in 18, and they've talked about countless others who have done different things. I think that Alex Bregman could be in that same class eventually. But that was a tangent based on Dallas Braden, but who's not even in the league anymore. I do think that Tyler Soderstrom is a very interesting option for the Red Sox if the A's are willing to listen to deals on him. Steve Peralt, who's on Section 10 and also works for Bleacher Report Walk-Off, over the weekend said that he's heard quite a bit of rumblings about Ryan O'Hearn being an option for the Red Sox. And I have a piece coming up about that in the next couple of days that I think that O'Hearn makes a lot of sense. He has hit 8 of his 12 home runs at home. And if he played at Fenway, he would add 6 home runs to his home run total with the way that the park is laid out. And I think that he would have to platoon because he's not good against lefties at all. But that's what Romey's there for. Technically, Refsnyder plays first too, or he used to. He did in the Yankees organization very briefly. But I think that if you brought in O'Hearn, who's a rental, he's on an expiring deal, platoon him with Romey, it's a massive upgrade over Abraham Toro. It's a power. I hesitate to call him a bopper, but he can hit homers. I think that kind of checks all the boxes you're looking for, and it's not your Josh Naylor who's going to be a victim of, not a victim, but he's going to be in a bidding war where it's going to get astronomical to acquire his services from the Diamondbacks.
The Diamondbacks are an interesting team right now. There were a bunch of Fangraphs articles that, were posted today. Some
Shout
were
out, Davey.
saying, yeah, shout out Davey. Some of them were saying that they should sell, and others were saying they shouldn't.
Hmm.
And checking I think they've won a couple. Wait,
They've gone on a bit of a run here.
yeah, they swept they swept the Cardinals,
Yeah,
scoring 10 runs in one game.
yeah.
Um, it's tied against the Astros right now, 0-0. They lost last night. Um,
Okay.
it it could go either way with them.
Hmm.
Just talking about first base candidates. Yeah, I'm not enamored by Josh Naylor and
I'm not either.
uh, first base though. Yeah, something probably should be done there. But with the Orioles, yeah, going back to O'Hearn, they kind of are a dumpster fire right now. You could
Yeah,
take advantage of that. And yeah, I agree with that.
I do. I think O'Hearn makes a lot of sense for the Red Sox. I don't think that he would be expensive. I know he was an all star. He was only an all star because Rafael Devers got traded. Devers was leading AL vote getters in the DH role. And then when he got shipped to the Giants, he suddenly dropped to like fourth in the NL DH role. So he did not make the All Star team. And Ryan O'Hearn became the starting DH for the American League All Stars. Um, but I like O'Hearn a lot as a rental. I don't necessarily want to extend him by any means. I think that you could play the first base free agent market in the offseason or look at Blaze Jordan, who's going to have to be added to the 40 man. He's Rule 5 eligible. Um, I think that if you don't believe that Blaze Jordan is your first baseman of the future, you should trade him in the next 9 days, or you're going to let him walk for nothing, or be taken in the Rule 5 and go to like the Cubs or the Dodgers, somewhere that he's going to go and just mash homers. Um, I have a really out there first base idea. Um, I've talked about it on the podcast before. I've got something written up about it. I just haven't done anything with it yet. I love Jordan Walker from the Cardinals.
Hmm. Okay.
He came up as a third baseman in the system. Obviously, can't play there because of Nolan Arenado. He has a cannon of an arm, which is why they put him in the outfield. But he played left and he wasn't very good there. And he's played right this season. He's not very good there. Um, but I think that you waste his arm to put him at first, and it unlocks a completely new baseball player. And I think he'd be dirt cheap.
No, Haim isn't the manager. No, not the GM of the Cardinals. He's
No,
like,
that's still Mosaic for this season. I do
okay.
know because I've kind of made some friends with some Cardinals guys out of St. Louis. Heim is being included on all discussions um,
Hmm.
because he does work for the organization. Um, so he is being included on all discussions. I think you could fleece him though, because
Oh no.
because Heim wants to win every trade, and you know that there are prospects in the system that he is still absolutely in love with. That Craig Breslow, Alex Cora maybe don't believe in as much. And I don't know who those prospects would be, but you know there are some guys still in the system that Heim's like, man, if I could bring them to St. Louis. So if there's somebody that you don't think or they're blocked, like, yeah, like Jordan Walker's not going to be expensive. Um, I really think that he could turn into an all-star caliber first baseman for this team. He didn't play well in Boston when the Cardinals came here, but Fenway right field is so hard, and I think he was just kind of overwhelmed. Um,
Well, by the 12 home runs his closer gave up at the end of the game,
Yeah.
I would be
Uh,
too. And the way that in-game interview just kept going on
oh my
and on.
gosh. I felt so bad for him. Let
Yeah.
me pull up his Fangraphs page. And so
For a
he's hitting
moment
219, um, 3
oh,
homers on the season. Let's jump into Savant.
I thought you were gonna say Vlad for a moment, but, I'm glad the conversation
I
changed
mean,
its course.
if you could figure out a way to, get that contract, then I wouldn't be mad at it. Um, it's nuts that Walker's not even qualified per Baseball Savant. Um, and I mean his numbers are not good. Um, like his batting run value, he's technically not qualified, but it's sitting at -7. His base running's a 0. His fielding run value is a -3, but that's because he's playing right field. He's not made to play right field. uh, his bat speed is tremendous. It's almost 78 miles an hour. His average exit velocity is almost 92 miles an hour. Um, he's fast. He's in the 85th percentile on sprint speed. There is something there that the Cardinals have just broken. And I think that if you can get him into a situation where he feels like an organization just wants him to play baseball for them, then I think he flourishes, and I think that he could easily flourish in Boston. I've had something written up about him for like a month and a half. I think that is the sleeper pick of uh of the trade deadline. If you could get Jordan Walker to Boston, I think that he is. I think it's a steal. Yeah, if you overlay his home, he's hit 2 of his 3 home runs at Busch Stadium. If you overlay that onto Fenway Park, he add, he adds 5.
Ooh.
um, and he's a right pull hat like he's a right-handed pull happy hitter. You let him get some practice at the monster, and he's just going to take aim at it and bop doubles off of it and put him on Lansdowne. And nobody is obviously listening to me, but man, if I could pick a guy that it's not going to cost a lot and you could fix him, I would have Jordan Walker here tomorrow.
Patsy might be able to fix them. I mean, with what
That
they're
he's done
saying.
incredible
Yeah.
things this season.
So,
You
hmm.
get Bregman in his ear too, because Sadan has said that Bregman's the one who really unlocked that next gear for him. I mean, he's young. Jordan Walker is so
24.
young. Yeah. Um, he was the 21st overall pick in 2020. He's 23. He's not even 24 yet.
Hmm.
He's a kid, and he's in a situation in St. Louis that sucks. He's playing so far out of position that he is uncomfortable playing baseball. First base isn't his natural position, but he can play it. Yeah, he's 6'6". He's a big dude.
You can certainly, lunge for the ball then.
His max exit velocity is top 3% of the MLB.
Hmm.
Uh, he's hit a ball almost 117 miles an hour this season. Like I said, that's my fix for first base, and it's out of the box, and it's kind of a weird and funky fit there, but you can get him to first, and I think he would flourish in Boston. And it's a move a lot of people would hate, on the surface. It would not go over well.
Yeah, well, I At this point, like, we talked about this, before, like, towards the beginning of the podcast. With all the conflicting reports about the trade deadline, I really don't know what to believe. Like, the Oprah meme, "What is the truth?" That's where I stand right now
Yeah.
because they're wasting space on their roster with, 5
Mhm.
outfielders, and they need to make a move. Craig has said, before that sometimes he could be a little indecisive, and he has been with the outfield logjam.
It's what
Like,
cost
this
Time Bloom his job was he was indecisive.
at least Craig is acknowledging it,
Yes,
himself, but even then, the best time to trade either Willier or, Duran was in the offseason.
absolutely.
Willie's shown that he's, a platoon bat at this point with amazing defense. I mean, he probably should get more opportunities to hit against the lefties, but,
Absolutely. I think Willier could be an everyday right fielder for the Red Sox.
if he was given the opportunity, which he
Yes.
hasn't been, yeah, so that's frustrating. Yeah, Duran probably won't ever replicate his season last year. He's still, a very competent, outfielder. I
Absolutely.
saw who was it? TJ Stats, posted, a chart of, the best left fielders, in each division, and Duran led the AL East. He had like 1.7 WAR, which was, one above Jason Dominguez, who only has point 0.7.
I really hope that you were going to say Jason Derulo, but
No.
uh,
You know,
um, Jason Dominguez is another cat that I wish wasn't on the Yankees because I could be a big fan of his if he played somewhere else.
yes, and no. The fact that he spells his name with 2 S's really
Yeah, I don't
bothers
care for
me.
that. Yeah.
And just every time I see it, I get like chills. But
It's like you got to like hiss his name like Jason.
and the fact that
Yeah,
he's been a rookie for like at least the past 2 years now is also
yeah, yeah. He's
so
been eligible for
annoying.
Rookie of the Year for the past 10 years somehow.
Yeah.
Eh, I'm with you. Like, it's so hard to really figure out what the Red Sox are doing. Um, the thing that I know is that they kind of have to be buyers because Craig Breslow has said multiple times that they're going to be buyers. Even when he's been given an opportunity to walk that back, he has said, no, we are
Yeah.
going to buy at the deadline. Um, his definition of buy may be very different than my definition of buy, um, but he's going to have to do something in these next 9 days. Um, I'm going to assume that our next episode will be between we're recording this on Tuesday night. Between now and next Monday, which is when we hope to record again, I can only imagine the amount of news that we're going to get surrounding the trade deadline. Um, and then, Thursday, there it is. Um, so it'll be very interesting to see. I hope that we start to get some clarity, but I think, like Alex Spears said on the broadcast tonight, like the Red Sox are playing this pretty quiet on purpose. Um, that makes me hope that they're making a play for one Paul Skeens to pair with Garrett Crochet. And I would take that 10-year extension that I would give Craig if he could land Tatis, and I would give him a 15-year extension if he could land Paul Skeens. And Jared Jones. It's just a package deal. But this next week and a half is going to be incredibly interesting. This is one of my favorite times of the year, even though the Red Sox haven't done a whole lot over the past few trade deadlines. I can remember when I think it was 2 years ago. Is that when Rizzo got traded to the Yankees at the deadline? Those 2 or 3 years
That sounds
ago.
right.
I was driving to a music store about an hour away from my house with a guy I played music with at the time, and we were like live listening to MLB radio just listening because it was the trade deadline. And we were in the car at like 4:00. It's like, we got to put it Sirius on. We got to find out what's going on while we're driving home. And like, we heard like all of the trades come in in real time. And I was like, man, I'd love it if the Red Sox ran on Rizzo. I was like, Rizzo's going to the Yankees. I was like, man. But yeah, this is one of my favorite times of the year. I hope that the Red Sox make some moves that are impactful, not only for the rest of this season, but for the rest of the season. And I'm excited to dive kind of a little more into hopefully some news and some maybe even some trades come next Monday. Hopefully we've got some interesting stuff to talk about. Hopefully we get a series win over the Dodgers, so it'll be a good opening to the pod too. Do you have anything you're working on for the site? I know you had talked about a couple things.
No, I do not at the moment. I'm still waiting for Baseball Savant to release swing metrics for Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer, and when they do, I'll have something on that.
Awesome.
Do you have anything, Alex?
I've got a few. Summer break for me means that like I'm spending, of course, time with my family, but like while my kids are napping and playing and stuff, like I've got some time to like just sit and write. So I've been churning out quite a bit this summer. I've got a piece coming out on some relievers that I would like the Sox to take a look at. I've got a piece on O'Hearn coming out, and then I've got kind of a comparison piece between Sandy Alcantara and Edward Cabrera and why the Red Sox should pay the steeper asking price for Cabrera versus Alcantara if they're planning on competing this year. If not, then I think that you hedge towards Alcantara and hope that he can return to form next year. But Cabrera is kind of the starter that I have circled on my list of pitchers that I would like the Red Sox to have. So I'm sure I'll get a couple things out before the deadline, a couple more things. Like I said, I'm heading to St. Louis for a while, so I probably won't work on much unless Jarren Duran gets traded. And then I will make time to write Hey, I Told You All. And I've had this called since the off season type piece. But yeah, just a lot of trade deadline stuff coming up. And I'm excited for it. Like I said, it's my favorite time of year.
I'm still holding hope that the Phillies try to make a move for Duran so that so they leave Philly back. Yeah, so they leave Philly tomorrow without Duran. I think that would be kind of fun.
Like when Vasquez was traded to the Astros during the second game of the series.
Just walk across the field.
Yeah. For Willier, by far Heim's best move that he made.
Even the Phillies announcers were applauding Bloom for that trade.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Because
like the one thing
Phillies
I agreed with
everything.
them. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's gonna be an interesting few days, and we will see everybody back here next Monday or Tuesday, and hopefully we've got some more trades to kind of talk about and some crazier ideas than Jordan Walker to first. So thanks for listening. Be sure to check in next week too when we've got hopefully some more information. So thanks for listening to Talk Sox, guys. See ya.
Peace.